At The Leading Executive, we believe that leadership is not just about the title one holds, but about the profound impact we make on the lives of others and the world around us. Join us on Wednesday, February 28th, as we host Power Leaders Live virtual five-star chat with HR expert Nicole Davis. During our conversation, we will speak on 3 pivotal topics that resonate deeply with leaders across industries, including navigating the challenges of gender dynamics in the workplace, harnessing the power of technology to revolutionize HR practices, and finding resilience and purpose in the face of personal loss. Prepare to be inspired, prepare for your transformation, prepare to become a power leader by tuning in across all social platforms to the Leading Executives Power Leaders Live virtual fireside chat with HR expert Nicole Davis. Welcome. Hi, Gerard. How are you?
I'm great. How are you, ma'am?
I'm good. I'm good. So, welcome everyone to the Leading Executives Power Leaders Live Fireside Chat. Tonight, we are speaking with HR expert Nicole Davis, and we just want to welcome you all in. As a matter of fact, because we are live on social, we're asking each of you to share this with your audiences as well, because again, there's going to be some great information that's going to be shared tonight. So, we're excited. We're excited. In tonight's fireside chat, we have the privilege of speaking to distinguished HR expert Nicole Davis. She's going to share some invaluable insights and experiences she's had on some very vital topics that, you know, a lot of times we as women, we are going to go through some things as we climb the ladder in corporate America. And that's what Nicole is going to be talking to us about. But again, the conversation is going to be thought provoking. So we want you to think about some of the challenges that maybe you have had to experience, or maybe someone that you know that you are, you know, that you work with, they're going through. But her journey, I'm sure, is going to inspire you, inspire others to embrace leadership in your own way. All right. So again, welcome, welcome, welcome to you all. Gerard, please introduce yourself. Let the folks know who you are, sir.
Okay. If I must, good evening, everybody. Appreciate everybody tuning in. My name is Gerard Ware. I also have background in HR just from my many years in military. I do a lot of work in the community currently, especially around the arena of emotional intelligence and also just empowering those that are needing just an extra boost, an extra push to make whatever necessary changes in their life so they can be successful. So I do a heavy push on my social media platforms, the Floor is Yours podcast, where we talk a lot about relationships. We talk a lot about building strong partnerships and also just the importance of service to your community. Just one of my biggest things, I like the Bible that it says the greatest among you will be your servant. And I really believe and hold that true to my heart that, everybody want to be great in their own sense, but I think that there is no true greatness apart from servitude. So that's where I am, and glad to be a part of the Leading Executive. Tamika reached out and asked me would I be a part of it, and there's not much of anything, if anything, that she asked that I'll ever say no to. So it's great to be here. I'm glad to share the screen with her and Nicole tonight. So I hope everybody is ready to, you're in for a great show.
Absolutely. So listen, we're not going to delay anymore. We're going to go ahead on and welcome the amazing guest, the phenomenal lady, the leading executive, the power leader, Miss Nicole Davis.
Thank you. Y'all are really amping me up. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. So yes, my name is Nicole Davis. I am an HR expert. I've been in HR for 9 years, actually. Currently, I am a senior manager of HR operations and technology. My primary focus is on the technology side and systems side of HR. It's kind of funny how I navigated into this journey. I did not go to school for HR or in the technology or IT field. I actually have a degree in international business and a master's degree in business administration. Just throughout my journey of just saying yes to various challenges, I found myself looking up in HR by saying, yes, let me dig into reporting and analytics, because I really loved reports and details and just finding out the who, what, when, where, and why. And that's actually how I ended up in HR. So it's just kind of an interesting journey. Definitely was not on my roadmap, but I would say I am so glad that I lucked up on it, because I've been able to just travel down various avenues that I would not have otherwise imagined me to be.
And that's amazing. I love that you had a journey that wasn't so structured, because a lot of times I think we get into a whole mindset of it has to be this way. We have to go this route, then this next step, that next step. But a lot of times in leadership is not a straight and narrow journey. It's always going to have some twists and turns with it. And with that, with those twists and turns comes, trying to navigate your own space
Yeah.
in the field. And so let's talk about how you have navigated and overcome some gender biases as advance in your career. What did that look like?
When you just think about technology as a whole, one of the things that, not even just technology, when you think about being a woman working in a male dominated field, the first thing you would need to ask yourself, what is really considered a male dominant field? And so I looked up this actually in the Collins Dictionary. I love to make sure I quote things accurately. And so basically, it can be defined as a male dominated organization or an area of activities in which you have most primarily men that are in power and influence in those positions. And so some of those areas can include technology, which is the field that I work in, aviation, automotive, software development, mechanical engineers, etc. So when you look at those fields, it's predominantly male. And so recently, through some of my own personal studies, as well as some things that I was doing in my current place of employment, we were looking at this 2024 gender diversity report, and it was eye-opening, but I wasn't shocked to really find out some of the information that I was reading. And so while there's been great strides to closing the gap, there's still a significant gap between the male and female ratio, especially in the technology world. And so some of those interesting factors that I read was that women make up 33% of the tech related workforce. So that number is still relatively small. We're not at the 50-50 mark. Again, we're making strides there. And also 50% of the women that are in this technology field, they actually leave before the age of 35. Now that part was shocking to me, to know that that is, and that's primarily because of the disparities that we've seen with the gender gap. And then also 3% of the women in tech identify as Black or African American, and then only 1.7 as identify as Latinx. So those numbers are even more small. So, and then also as far as when you look in executive positions, only less than 27%, 26.5% actually hold those executive or senior level or management positions. So those numbers, again, while it's not alarming, it's something that we really need to strive to work towards closing that gap. And that comes with not only us advocating for us, but also have our male counterparts helping to advocate for us, helping to raise that awareness as well. And so that is really what it's going to take. Also, one of the things that for me in my career, I would say is that you want to be open-minded. You want to continue to polish your skills. You want to continue to seek out leadership trainings, identify your mentors. Being silent is probably not gonna help get you there. It's not gonna move the needle. So that is something that I have learned in my career, is to not be afraid to speak up. I'm introverted by nature, even though it may not seem like it, but I'm more open when I'm comfortable in my comfort zone. But even throughout this journey, I have learned that I had to step outside of that comfort zone, because I am more in that analytical technology space. I do like to just be behind the computer and not necessarily up in front of the room speaking, or even on calls such as this. So this was a great opportunity for me to push past that as well, past that comfort zone. And so also one of the things in March of 2022, which if you don't know, March is International Women's Month. And March the 8th is International Women's Day. Woo! So in 2022, my company had asked if I could, speak a little bit about what it means to be a woman in technology, or to get some thoughts around that. And so I want to read one of the quotes that they had posted on our company's LinkedIn page of what it meant to me being a woman in tech. What I said was, you want to seek out reputable people whose work and approach you respect to be your mentor. Don't allow self-doubt to create that barrier. There are times where you may be the only woman in the room, or you're working on a particular project and it could seem intimidating, but absolutely know that you belong there and be confident in your abilities. Never stop learning. Be dedicated to continuous learning as technology strategies are ever changing, and seek out skill-based trainings and leadership courses to continue polishing your skills and learning new attributes. That is how you're going to stay in the game and stay ahead of things. You want to display that self-confidence, and just know that you absolutely do belong there.
I love that. Gerard, you were getting ready to say something?
I was just when she said 26% of the field is female, I'm actually kind of surprised that it's that high. And you kind of alluded to the different ethnicities too. So when you, I guess probably if you break that down by ethnicity or race, it's Black females. I know just me, I don't see a lot of it. So I'm wondering, Nicole, you and your professional experience, you hear the numbers and you can kind of understand what it looks like, but what does it look like boots on the ground? Do you actually, is it reflected that way where there's no women when you're in these arenas, or a few women? Is that what you actually see?
Well, I can speak from experiences and some of the positions that I've had at companies where the majority of those that are in the C-suite office, they are male. They are not female, and certainly not of the minority population as well. So again, we do see that. I will say that the company I work for, they have made great strides and really recognizing those women in the C-suite level, even in senior management. So when I say C-suite, is those that are, chief operational officers or things like that. However, you'd still have others that are in management positions, whether they are a senior manager such as myself, or whether you have those that are directors or vice presidents. When you do compare to their male counterparts, we are definitely below. It's not 50-50. Again, the gap is slowly closing, but even when you think about it in terms of salary, also on that report, they mentioned the salary, the gender gap in the US. While it's there, overall, women earn 80% of the average man's earnings. That's overall. And then in the technology field, it's 87%. So while it's a little bit closer, that's still, again, there's some inequity there. So that's why it's really important for businesses just to even look at that in general. And so we can go into a little bit more of that discussion when we get to a later topic of how HR technology can assist with some of that. But yeah, there is still a gap when it comes to pay and gender.
That is. You shared that report with me, and it was disheartening to me to see that we are still at the levels where we are, though, right? So here's just an open call to all the companies and organizations that are watching. This is your call to action. Call to action. Advancing the careers of women in your organization. And, Nicole, I know that you can speak on this when it comes to advancing careers from within instead of hiring from outside of the agencies or firms. It's easier because they have already the built-in knowledge. They have that built-in loyalty because they are already there, and it boosts morale for others that are looking, hopefully, to climb the ladder. So I'm just going to say this is just an open call to all organizations, employ, advance from within, find women in your organization and mentor them,
Yeah.
embrace them, advance them, and watch your company flourish. That's what we do. Okay, I'm just sorry. So let's talk about when we are looking to advance in our careers, Nicole. A lot of times, as you already stated, men have a greater advantage or have had a greater advantage in being promoted and getting higher pay. How important is it to have those men to be allies to us as women as we are trying to advance? Or is there an importance, or is it vital? Is it necessary to have men that would speak up on our behalf in the workplace?
Um, I would say that it does play a key pivotal role, especially if you're working in an organization where maybe your chief financial officer is a male, or your direct executive is a male, or your manager is a male. You though it is important. I wouldn't say that that's the golden ticket, but having a manager in general or leader in general advocating for you will speaks volumes. But what I have learned is that you also have to advocate for yourself. You also have to put yourself out there. And I think that that is what has helped me to grow in my career in HR. Being that, again, I was saying yes to a lot of things, even when I didn't have the experience or the knowledge. I said yes to learning, yes, that I'll give it a try. And I put my best foot forward, even if that means that I needed to study a little bit longer, or maybe at times work a little bit longer, or collaborate and network with other colleagues or other individuals in my field to continue to learning and education. But you first have to show your willingness. You first have to show what it is that you're wanting to do and strive to do. A lot of times we hear that, oh, my manager's not promoting me, or I'm not getting a promotion, but ultimately it is me, it is us as individuals who should own your career path. However, companies do have the responsibilities of creating those career paths for you, and in working in tandem with the employees. But in general, creating those career paths is very, very important. And I believe sometimes when you don't have those career paths built out, you don't have anything visible for the employees to see. It does create a little bit of that discouragement. And sometimes it could create some sort of bias without you even unintentionally doing it, because you've worked with this person for quite some time, and you know how he works, or hey, he's your friend, so you may ease them into that position. Even if they're not the best fit, you may have somebody else that's a better fit, but that person also would need to make it be known what they want to do, and really definitely give it a shot. But having those leaders, especially that holds those powerful positions advocating for you, that also makes a huge difference. And I've seen that difference in my career as well, of being able to move not only in terms of management, but also in terms of salary as well. Just you can be professionally vocal about things.
I
Yeah.
love
And
that.
you say real quick, and you alluded to the biases. We heard this thing called unconscious bias
Hmm.
that sometimes seem conscious biases, but nevertheless, they can affect each other the same. I'll say this: I do agree that the responsibility ultimately is on self, but understanding what those unconscious biases are, and I'm thinking about the political season when Biden, when he elected, he committed to electing the first Black woman to the Supreme Court. So sometimes organizations have to be that intentional. While
Right.
there's no shortage of the dominant people in those fields, I think organizations have to get out of their comfort zones and making a mission to bring on others that don't look like what's typical in those fields.
Right.
Right.
And that's where that whole scalability and scaling your HR systems and technology also comes into play.
Good
Right.
point. Yeah.
And I'm glad you mentioned that because we're going right into that. We are going right into that. So I'm thinking of one of the things I wanted to ask you is, I should say, what are some things that organizations can do when they are going to HR to say, oh, hey, we have this open position or we have this opportunity to bring someone in. What are some things that organizations can do to remain open to being diverse, to being, invoking that equity inside of it, right? And including
Mhm.
everyone. So we're talking about the DEI of it all. What are some
Mhm.
things that organizations can do to embrace DEI?
Yeah, so that is a loaded question.
I know.
We can talk, this could be its own segment in itself. But when we talk about HR and HR technology, and just, or even when you're looking in terms of diversity, you have to first start with having a system in which you can track data. Data and analytics tells the story. It tells how well a company is doing and perhaps how not so well a company may be doing in a certain area.
Mhm.
And so long gone are the days, or should be the days, when you have companies, I would say over 50 or probably even 100 employees or more, where you're wanting to look at some sort of HR systems where you're moving away from that paper. No one should really be using paper unless you're smaller. But one of the things that um, I've been responsible for is pulling different types of reports to look at our ratio, not just between male and female, but also looking at how people have self-identified during the onboarding process, as it relates to their gender or their ethnicity. Also, you may want to look at the age range. So if you're not having that data that's easily reportable, it's kind of hard to make some important decisions that you may need to make. And I will say that by putting together a lot of reports and a lot of analysis, for a company I worked for, it was not alarming because you can visually see it. But once you start presenting that data to senior management and to leadership, and they start opening and welcoming those conversations, it was a very necessary and very uncomfortable conversations, but very necessary. And I will say that I'm proud to say, because of this, they have taken those strides to say, hey, we have to do better. And when we talk about diversity, it is not just based on what the physical elements you can see. It's not just based on your gender or your ethnicity or your race. There are other areas of diversity that you may not even think about. And one of those things is the way that we all learn, or our experiences, that is also considered diversity. I don't want to have a bunch of, I think I'm awesome, but I don't want to have a bunch of Nicoles in a room. I'm not growing and learning. I'm not challenging myself if I'm just, hanging out with Nicole. So diversity could be, I think, Gerard, we talked about this recently in another podcast where we talked about, those that, maybe have identified in the military, or for those that may have disclosed a certain disability, things like that. Like, we don't want to, again, all companies always have their EEO statement where they're saying, we won't discriminate on the basis of X, Y, and Z. That should be more than just a statement we put on paper, on applications. It needs to be implemented in our core values of how we are practicing and running our organization. But again, that is where all of that data comes into play. And then also engagement surveys. Um, a lot of times, companies, you don't know what you don't know until you truly ask. Not all companies have a quote unquote suggestion box, but even if it's just once a year, administer an engagement survey. A lot of times it is good to utilize an outside company or an outside tool that will collect the data for you, that can analyze the data, so that it can also tell you what employees are thinking, what they're feeling, how they are feeling, what you're doing good at, what you're not doing good at. And again, this is another piece of HR technology, how it will help you to scale. Another example I can give is, you're noticing your turnover. It's increasing year over year, quarter over quarter. Why? If you are accurately tracking that data, if you are having these exit interviews which I would love for people to start using more of the stay interview instead of an exit interview. Let's have a stay interview. If we notice that we have some employees that are at risk, they're high performers, there's a lot of clues that they would give you before they actually even exit the scene. But just all of that, it all plays a big part. And so let's say you're analyzing, you're noticing that either a certain department or a certain position, there's constant turnover. If you have these reports, you can dig a little deeper to understand what's going on so that it can help you to reduce your attrition rate. The constant turnover is actually costing companies a lot of money because one, now you have to put a new job requisition, you have to train a new person, you may have to backfill at a higher salary. So it's all about looking internal. What can we do to retain those top performers that we don't want to lose, and that knowledge, so that we're not having to constantly rehire and spending more money rehiring.
I love that. And I love the fact that you said a stay interview, not an exit interview. Let's do some stay interviews. That would save a lot of time, money and resources, I believe, with organizations looking into their data and tracking their data. Gerard, what you got to say?
Just something that she talked about is the BRGs, and I don't know if you specifically mentioned that, but I like that HRs, even though they're primarily responsible for that, now they're partnering with the employees in building BRGs or ERGs and empowering the employees with not just empowering, but giving them the resources necessary so that they can take more of an active role in that area. So and I'll give the example you brought up, the military. So in my company, we have the military appreciation BRG. Well, we partner with some of the other ones to learn other skill sets, the technology BRGs. There's single parenting BRGs. There are just a number of them. So just thought about when you said that how organizations are partnering with, the employees and giving them the resources and to, walk with purpose, with who they are, embrace who they are, so that they can be more of a meaningful part of that organization.
Mm-hmm. And I would say this, when I, at the last place of employment, I was a part of a lot of BRGs, okay? I was in a Chinese community, I was in an African-American community, I was in an ethnic cooking community, and I cooked nothing.
So why were you in the Chinese community?
Listen, they got a whole New Year that's separate from our New Year. I wanted a red envelope. Okay, I'm so sorry. I ain't mean it like that. No, but because I got to learn a lot about different cultures. I got to learn a lot about, who they are, how they do things, why they do the things that they do. And I'm very diverse. I have a lot of friends who are not African American friends, right? And, being prior military, Gerard, being prior military, we've moved all over and we've met so many people all over. And I've never lost touch with some of them. And then in the different places where I've been employed, I've got a chance to meet new faces, meet new people, meet different cultures. And I like to learn different people. I'm a forever learner. So for me, it was just an opportunity for me to understand more about cultures and try different things out, and be a part of different celebrations, because I like to celebrate.
And that was the reason I was asking for that specific reason right there. It's not just who you are, but your coworkers, and to make them feel inclusive, especially when you got a group that's maybe the super minority. You want to make sure that they feel comfortable. And one way to do that is joining that BRG or ERG, even though that's not something that you specifically identify with.
I should have started a BRG for the Southerners, okay? For the country Southerners.
You can read that one, all three of us.
I actually was going to piggyback off what you said, Gerard. I knew exactly where you're going, because that is one thing that I really did enjoy as well, is I'm on an HR DE&I committee, where it's being a part of HR, offering that support to the various ERGs that we have established. So I don't necessarily lead it. I'm just a support in the background, supporting that, because it was a new program that we had actually started off with. And to your point, we also make it a point to always say, even if you don't identify with this particular employee resource group or business resource group, we do welcome allies. And allies, we throw that word around a lot because it takes allies um, to help make stronger communities. And so I love that you said that. I as well love diversity in many different shapes of forms. I love interacting with more than just those that look like me. That's how we're forever learning, forever growing. When you think about business, business is, it's unlimited. There's global business. I work for a global company. And so being able to, step outside and just really learn more about even the other cultures, other celebrations, things like that, that I've had the opportunity through my organization has been very rewarding.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we're going to take a minute real quick just to do a recap. Listen, we are here with HR expert Nicole Davis, if you all didn't know, okay? But I'm Tamika Chapman. This is Gerard Ware. We're of the Leading Executive, and we are here with our Power Leaders Live Fireside Chat, where we get to engage and we get to speak to and hear from and learn from global leaders who are sharing their experiences and their expertise with us. And we hope that you are able to get good information, good insights, and share it, learn from it, implement it, and share it with others. So as you join, let us know that you're here and where you're from, but also engage with us in the comments. Let us, feedback. Feedback is always vital to anyone that we bring on, because they want to know that what they're saying, what they're sharing is resonating with you and you're actually getting something from it. So make sure that you comment, you let us know. And the last thing is share this. If you're here live with us, you're in a capacity to share this across any other platform that you're on. So whether that's Facebook or LinkedIn, YouTube, wherever you're sharing it from, just share it with your communities. Let everybody know that we're here with HR expert Nicole Davis. All right. So Nicole, we're getting back into it. As a woman in leadership, and we're talking about me, okay, and all the other million of women who are in leadership, right? There are some thoughts that go through my head when it comes to taking time off and what that would look like for me as a leader. Can I take time off without being looked at of I can't handle my job? Can I take time off without, looking like, okay, she's not the person that we need. We need somebody that's here 24/7. We can't, allow someone that's going to need time off. We need somebody here. So for me, taking time off is to care for me, my family, my mental wellness. But you experience loss, and that requires you to take time for your mental sanity, for your mental wellness, for you to regroup yourself and get back together after experiencing a loss. So, if you don't mind, can you share with us, how experiencing your loss impacted your leadership style?
Oh, yes. So, as you mentioned, I have endured a lot of loss over the course of the last about 4 years. And so, I would start off to say that I guess somewhere around the time where COVID was heavy, I had lost my grandmother, and I'm a grandmother's baby. So that to me, it felt like I was like, okay, I took a licking and I kept on ticking. I'm a mom, and at that time I was married. And so, and then I also had my work responsibilities. I had probably the job of 2 to 3 people in just one person. So I was always operating in, I got to get this done. I got to make sure the house is still going, my kid is fine, and work is still going. So I just kept going. And then fast forward to 2021, January 2021, I saw myself going through another very difficult time. I went through a separation and a very difficult, very intense divorce that would last for over a year to finalize. So again, I just kept going through and not stopping for me. The bills still have to get paid. My son still has to be taken care of. And I still have to produce at work so that the bills can continue to get paid. So I just kept going, kept going. fast forward to last year of 2023. That may have been one of my most difficult years in the last probably 5 years that I've been at my job. I actually lost my baby brother to an illness called sarcoidosis, and definitely was unexpected. When I got that phone call, I was in utter shock that my baby brother, my only brother, was no longer with us, and that was in February of 2023. Then in April, I lost an aunt, my mom's oldest sister. And then the very next month, I lost my papa.
Wow.
So all in the span of those 3 months, I have lost back to back, back to back. And I still did not take time for me. I just kept ticking. I have to keep going. The bills have to get paid. My son has to be taken care of. Work still has to be taken care of. I have this person that needs this, and that person that needs this, and this person and that person, until I found myself up against a wall, and where I was pretty much put in a position where I had no choice but to take a step back.
Yeah.
So at this point, that meant that I no longer would be managing a team. It didn't take away from my leadership capabilities or necessarily my workload. It just lightened the load of the managerial day-to-day duties of being a manager. And one of the things that I learned in that, and I remember when it happened, I was taken aback because I was always that person. I can do it. I can do it by any means necessary. I can do it. I can do it. But it came to a screeching halt. I literally crashed and burned. And all of those emotions came back like a flood. Everything that I compressed from all of the loss, with not just like my grandmother, then it was the loss of that, then it was the loss of a marriage, then it was a loss of three other family members. And I just remember to say, asking, how did I get here? Like, can't function. I can't function well to my capacity in my job the way that this is going right now. And one of the things that I learned, that as a leader, um, it doesn't discriminate whether if you're at the top of the food chain or at the bottom. Life happens. And I quickly learned that I am definitely not invincible. And I literally remember sharing with one of my senior leaders that, you know, I can't bloom where I'm planted if I'm not watering and nourishing myself. I can't give others what I don't have in myself to give right now. And in that moment, I realized that I sacrificed way too much of my mental and emotional health. Um, and as a leader, you're not required to do that. You're not required, nor should you. Um, so it was a very painful reality and a very painful time, even in my career, because I've always been I can do it, I can do it, I can do it. And it was like, basically I had to have my hands pried off of things so that I can focus on my mental health, my emotional health, my well-being, and just take that time out. And one of the things that I learned is that, I had to go back to the drawing board and just really understand, what does a leader mean? What does it mean to be in leadership? What does it mean? What are my core values? So it kind of rocked my confidence a little bit, because I was just, like I said, took a licking and kept on ticking. But yes, so that really played a pivotal changing point of the way how I operate now, with more clarity, with more rest, and taking that time to rest. I know you mentioned that earlier. You have your family. Work is going to be work. If something were to happen to me tomorrow, they're going to replace me, you know, at the most opportune time for them. And I can speak from experience, having been married young and losing a first spouse to cancer at a young age. It was reality that while his job missed him, they still had to post another rec to backfill for him. And
Right.
so somehow I lost sight of that, um, somehow I lost sight of that, but I was quickly reminded going through this season of loss. It's like I cannot continue to operate this way. I'm becoming a shell of a person, and I can't be good for my son and for my family, for my close friends, or even for my colleague who's looking up to me if I'm not well within me.
Wow.
So that is the starting point of all of that, and that's the journey that I'm on right now. That balancing life and work journey.
Wow, that's a lot of loss. So I will one, even though it's not now, it's happened, and you're still trying to move through it and find your way through it. I will say that you have my condolences and prayers as you move through your own journey of healing and get into your own groove of things. Because I think, as you said before, leaders shouldn't have to sacrifice their emotional and their mental well-being at all just to lead. Like, we're still people, we're still human, and we
Right.
have to make sure that we're taking care of ourselves, so that we can, continue to lead others in a healthy way, in a productive way. um, and you're not just speaking for yourself, you're speaking for myself, you're speaking for a lot of other women who are also going through and having experienced loss and still putting a smile on and still making it work, because again, you got to get the job done.
Mhm.
But I also love that you said that if you don't show up and if you can't show up, they're going to find somebody else to replace you. So
Mhm.
we have to find that value within ourselves. We have to see that we have a value, we hold a value, and that's for men and women. Okay, we're not just speaking to the women specifically, but for that, we have to find value in ourselves to say, you know what, I need this time off, I need this time away, because if
Mhm.
you don't willingly take it, you're going to unwillingly have to take it. Your body is going to tell you, and it's going to shut down in places where it shouldn't shut
Mhm.
down. And it's
Yeah.
going to make you take a sit down. Um, wow, that was a lot, but thank you for sharing. First of all, thank you for sharing. And I will ask you this, because you've gone through, you smiled, you made your way through, you took a step back in not managing people, and still continue to move forward in your career. But as you navigated, was there a time when you decided to possibly get grief counseling or get some kind of therapy to assist you with dealing with the grief that you had, that you were going through, or
Yes.
still?
Yes, I am 1,000% an advocate of therapy. Actually, my therapy started in 2021 when I went through my separation. So I went to my own therapist that I still see today, 3 years later. We have an over a 10-year relationship. She was my grief counselor when I lost my first husband. Um, I'm definitely an advocate for that, because we were able to help peel back those layers of why I mask so much. And so so I've done that. I've also went through grief share. I actually did that late last year in 2023. I started doing grief share with others that have experienced various types of loss, whether it's a mother, a son, a child, a spouse, or whatnot. Um, so I've done that. So I'm a big advocate for support groups as well. I also did what was called divorce care, and that was also another support group that was very amazing. It was very freeing as well, and it really helped me through navigate through those uncertain waters and navigate through that time of how, I'm here now. What, this is not where I expected myself to be, but I'm here, so what now? Life has to continue to go on. So yes, I'm a big advocate of therapy. And I know that especially in the African American community, Black community, or also those minorities. I know sometimes that word can seem a little scary to people, but it's just what I call it as if I'm just calling up a friend and just talking to them. but except this professional is a person that can handle all of this. Because me personally, I wouldn't be able to handle all of that baggage that others may need to talk to me about, but I know my therapist can, and I can be angry one day and I can be happy and I can cry and I can, and it's just a very safe environment. I will say that make sure it's the right therapist for you. Make sure it is the right fit for you. Try it out. If it doesn't, don't give up. Just seek the one that's for you. And I found the one that's for me. And like I said, we've been attached ever since about 2012, 2013. So she's my go-to.
That's dope. That's awesome. Did Tamika freeze? I can Okay. So I got a question while we work on Tamika getting back on. You mentioned that you were a mother and a daughter, but you were a friend and a sibling and so much to other people too. So how important is it to have a good support team around you? So you talk about the therapy, which is important, but my experience is like if you get in therapy and you're going back to the same environment where the people is not supportive of you, it could all be for naught, and you can actually take steps backwards, right? So, how important is it to have people around you that support you fully and have the patience necessary to allow you to go through and deal with what you're dealing with?
Yes, it is very important. And you said something key there. Um, Nothing changes if nothing changes.
Okay.
And for me, I considered myself to be somewhat of a private person, which is not a bad thing. However, I learned that being overly private and too private can keep you in situations longer than what you need to be.
Hmm.
Because at times it makes it feel like you're the only one going through those things. And a lot of times people may just not know what you're dealing with. So when you have that trusted source or resources or those trusted friends that you can confide in, it makes a big difference. One of the things that I have been working and focusing on is the rumination, where I'm just constantly replaying things that may have happened and just trying to figure out how could I do this differently, or where did it go wrong, or why, or this, and it literally ate me up inside to the point to where I was having massive anxiety and panic attacks, and I'm reliving situations and thoughts and frustrations. And I'm like, I cannot function this way. But guess what? I'm gonna phone a friend who I know is gonna encourage me, or I'm gonna phone a friend that I know that is gonna, sometimes they might need to set me straight. I have some pretty dope friends, some pretty
Yeah.
close friends that um they don't always tell me what I want to hear. They tell me what I need to hear, but the difference is they tell me with love.
Yeah.
And I will say that I have a pretty strong support group, and it's diversified as well, so I would say that is very important, so that you know that you're not walking alone.
Yeah. That is important. In that, we're talking about life after a loss. You shared some good news with me a few weeks ago. And so you alluded and let everybody know that you went through a divorce a few years ago. And part of that life after loss is that you're currently engaged to
Yeah.
a guy. I met him a couple times, real good guy. And we talked about the support that he offers. And it's nothing taking away anything from your friends. But how different is the support he offers versus what you got from like friends like myself or some of your other friends that are watching through the video right now?
Yes, I did. I sure did. And let me tell you, it was definitely not in my plans. I actually was, when I got to the point of just being okay with just me, just being okay, taking that time out, taking the last 3 years to just really work on that healing journey, work on self, um, just work on me and just focus on me. And I remember saying, God, if it's your will, just put me in the right place at the right time. If not, those are my spiritual beliefs, but that's what I believe in. But if not, I'm okay with just it being me and my son. I
Right.
got to the point to where I was okay with just being me, with it being me. And to my surprise, I did meet my current fiance at one of my really good friends, my sister, my best friend, at a birthday party. Again, very unexpected. And we joke about it all the time because he actually did not even speak to me. He didn't acknowledge me. And I actually kind of took a little offense to that. I'm like, I'm literally sitting right here next to you on the couch and no hi, hello, or anything. So it's kind of funny how it played out. And so I was like, God, you have a sense of humor. I said, put me in the right place at the right time. But I didn't imagine it. Imagine it that it would have happened this way. And it just started with me asking him, hey, how are you? Are you good? And he goes, yes, I'm good. And that conversation just led to us just eventually exchanging the numbers and just really getting to know each other. And I was very just the fact that we had so much in common, but more than just having things in common, just the way that he would call and just affirmed me and reassured me and just, hey, you're amazing. And it was those words of affirmation that I used to speak over myself. But going through that period of time, it's almost as if I forgot to speak those words of affirmation over myself. And it wasn't just a, hey, I like you type of thing. I'm going to just tell you what I want you to hear. He has been consistent from day one. And I think that's how he won me over after some time, because of the consistency. And he is very supportive when you're having those intimate relationships of, from your partners or your spouse. It is very important. You don't want to feel like you're in competition. You want somebody who's going to play on the same team. And I use this volleyball analogy because I played volleyball in college. If I'm the spiker, I can't spike and set to myself at the same time. So you want your partner to set you up, and then you go in and hit the ball for the kill. So that's kind of how I see my relationship with him. He sets me the ball, I go in for the kill, I turn around, I set him the ball, he go in for the kill. So I would say it's very important to have support. Just for me, it's very important. Otherwise, I would be okay with just me, because I've learned that one is still a whole number.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. And I like that volleyball analogy. It kind of gives you a little more insight of what you experienced. So we lost Tamika. I'm sure everybody noticed out there. She has some technical issues at home, but we're going to go ahead and push through this. What I want you to do, Nicole, if you don't mind, just so we can close up this segment about the life after loss as a leader. If you don't mind, just encourage people with a few words or a few sentences, if you will. Just some people that are going through it. Like, give them some words of encouragement.
Yes, I would say that again, I really hope that my experiences, my background has truly inspired someone, even if it's just one person. I would say just when you think about things in terms of leadership, it is not just about how many people you're managing. A leader, you can be, a leader or strive to be a leader without having to quote unquote manage people or manage a team, if you will. And some of the things that I have really tried to focus on in leadership is I have this acronym called VOICE. And basically that stands for values. Establish your values. What are some of the principles and standards of behavior that you want to lead by? What are those things? So really take out the time to understand what values you want to live by and portray. Values are very, very important. Some of the values are, having that emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is really important. Not when I talk about a leadership, I'm not talking about just out on the job. This is even, within your home, within your community. Just, thinking about it on that large of a scale and not just necessarily where you work. And then also just being self-aware and leading with empathy and humility. And then the O for organize, think about those different ways that you can organize new ideas and drive innovation. be, like I mentioned earlier, never be afraid to continue to learn, continue to step outside of the box, even if it's a little uncomfortable, but dedicate yourself to that, whether it's taking some self courses or whether it's finding out if your organization do offer any type of development training, a different ongoing educational credits, things like that. And so this is where that humility does play a key role as a leader. Don't be afraid to ask for help or seek input from others. I don't know it all. And so I am the type that will ask and gather input from others. And then also the I, instill that confidence. And to instill the confidence means to be inclusive. Include all of your team members, include your peers, include the knows that you need to be. Again, we are not meant to do all of this and walk through all of this alone. Listening to others, understanding what motivates others, give genuine compliments and feedbacks, track progression, also celebrate success. I'm the type of person, sometimes I like to be, if you're going to acknowledge me, I don't have to be in front of the limelight. I would be okay even if it's just a quick email or something like that. But get to know people. Some they don't mind that recognition, so don't be afraid to really understand what motivates your team. But I'm talking about instilling confidence, but before you can instill confidence in others, you first must confirm and instill that confidence within yourself.
Yeah.
And being self-confidence, it's not arrogance, but it's those intrinsic values and understanding that your self-worth is not defined by any of your failures or successes or even the opinions of others. And then the C is cultivate those work relationships or excuse me, with active listening and transparency and honesty. And then embracing, E is for embrace individual differences. And this is where we talked about earlier that diversity comes in all forms. We must be intentional about addressing our own biases, whether it's conscious or unconscious. And then again, just continuing development of yourself, not only yourself, but also your team. Develop them to what it means to have an inclusive leadership style.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so that's voice, and I'm glad you shared that with us. You sent it to me earlier today, and I was like, man, that's pretty nice. So one thing that you said I want to highlight before we move on is empathy. We Dr. Romani, we watched a lot of her videos, and she said that if she can go back and do everything over again, it wouldn't be a lot that she would change, but she would place more focus on teaching empathy to her children. And, they're just being able to empathize with someone, really not just know, but really feel what a person is going through. It helps you when you're going through these times of grief and whatever a person is experiencing. So I just want to highlight that word empathy. And I'll see if you want to speak on it before we move on.
I actually think you wrapped that up pretty good. Empathy and sympathy, they are not the same thing. And what I can say is that you don't necessarily have to identify with what that person has gone through or is going through, which is that sympathy. Like you can sympathize with them because you've been through it. But that empathy is really saying, I am really sorry to hear you're going through this. And it's showing that sense of care and concern, even if it has not directly affected you.
Yeah, it's a great skill set to have. So yeah, that's good. So we're gonna go ahead and close out with a call to action. Tamika was gonna do this, but I'm gonna see if I can pull it off as professional as she would. So thank you all for tuning in to Power Leaders Live, a virtual fireside chat presented by the leading executive. And we had our very own Nicole Davis on, and we appreciate your time. Your authentic, your transparent conversation meant everything. We appreciate you big time. So sharing your journey will allow so many other women in leadership to become empowered, to be heard, be seen, and to be a leader they desire to be. Please connect with Nicole Davis on LinkedIn. And there's a ton of Nicoles out there. But is there something specific that they can find or they can look for when they see you on LinkedIn?
Yes. Oh, she didn't put the link in there, did she? So yeah, it's I'm Nicole Davis, and then comma, I believe it has MBA. I think I have on a yellow blazer, but yes, there's tons of Nicole Davises. I apologize for that common name.
Yeah, but it's worth it. Research it until you find it, and you will not be disappointed. She's a great connect in your back pocket. So appreciate it. But again, we love to connect with each one of you to learn more about how our team can help your organization develop power leaders from within by maximizing team productivity, boosting morale and wellness, and increasing business revenue. Visit us at www.theleadingexecutive.com. And we'll put all this in the chat so you can see it later. We'll actually have a QR code for you can scan and get straight to us. But we got something else going on March the 27th. I want you to join us as we introduce you to a business governance and information security expert, Ariana Palumbo. And I met her. She is a wonderful, wonderful talent. So another lady of just great skill and passion to give back. So follow us again, theleadingexecutive.com. I think we have a video that's going to get played before we get out of here. Nicole, do you want to say any last goodbyes before we leave?
No, just thanks for having me. Bye.
Thank you for joining us. All right.
At The Leading Executive, we believe that leadership is not just about the title one holds, but about the profound impact we make on the lives of others and the world around us. Join us on Wednesday, February 28th, as we host Power Leaders Live virtual 5-star chat with HR expert Nicole Davis. During our conversation, we will speak on 3 pivotal topics that resonate deeply with leaders across industries, including navigating the challenges of gender dynamics in the workplace, harnessing the power of technology to revolutionize HR practices, and finding resilience and purpose in the face of personal loss. Prepare to be inspired, prepare for your transformation, prepare to become a power leader by tuning in across all social platforms to The Leading Executives Power Leaders Live virtual fireside chat with HR expert Nicole Davis.